Okay, welcome guys. So this Pycoders Academy Python full course. So with me Faisal from Pycoders Academy. Okay, so I hope you are loving this series of courses, and if you like it, just share it with your friends. Subscribe to my channel and like this video. Okay, so in our previous video, we were looking at the introduction to functions, where we learned about how to define functions, how to name them, how to pass parameters inside the parentheses, how to call them, and so on. So today we will be diving into the detailed section of functions. So this will be the part one of the detailed section of functions, and in our next video will be our second or second part, or the second video on detailed functions, where we'll be covering the lambda function. Okay, so today we'll be looking at the arguments, which are also called the parameters, as I said in the previous video. So they are parameters, or we also refer them as the arguments. Okay, so we then move to the return statement, and lastly we look at the star used in parameters or the parentheses. Okay, so we have four types of arguments, or four types of parameters. So we have the required argument, we have the keyword argument, the default argument, and the variable length argument. Okay, so we will look at them one after the other by just explaining them and looking at some examples on them. So just sit tight and watch this video. Okay, so back to our main functions. So this is how to define functions in our previous video: def, then function name, then I will say any parameter will be here, then I will say print hello. So simple. Then we can call this function, because when you leave it like that, it's not calling anything. So we call this function like this, then you bring the parentheses. So let's run this code and see. Okay, so we are getting hello here. So since in the function we are just printing hello, so it's printing hello here. So simple. So we did this in our previous code, and we moved on to how to pass parameters inside the parentheses. So this, we pass a parameter here, so something like a name here. So the name is just the parameter. Then you can pass this parameter inside your code in the let's say under the function. So just do, so let me use an f string here, then I'll do name. Okay, so now what I will do is, since we have passed a parameter here, it should reflect here. So this should be, let's say, Bob. Then let's run this code. Okay, so you can see hello Bob. Let me bring the space between it. So now, okay, so now you see hello Bob there. So when you pass a name or something inside the parentheses, that becomes a parameter. So that is what we will be focusing on in this video. So we call them arguments. Okay, so now our first type of argument we will look at is the required argument. So that is the parameter which comes first. So these are all required arguments. So the required arguments are just, so something, another one, something like age. So these are required arguments. When I run this code, you should get an error here, because the name and the age are all required, and we have just let me see, defined the name parameter, and the age parameter hasn't been defined. So you can see we are getting an error here: function name missing one required positional argument age. So in required arguments, the order matters. What is the order? The order is like how you have named your parameter. So here I've named my first parameter as the name. So what I'm like passing here, the first parameter I'm passing here should be the name, or the what we want to store as the name parameter. So it should match here. Then the second will be the age. So let's say something like 19 here. So it will work now because all the required arguments are being passed. But when we don't bring any parameter here, since it is required, then it is required of us to bring it. So missing two required positional arguments, name and age. So it is required and the order matters. So when I have something like 19 comma name here or Bob here, then I will just okay, so I will just disorder the arrangement and I will just do something like age, so comma age and colon, then I'll say square brackets, then I'll say age. So here I'm saying the first one is for name and the second one is for age. So it applies the same here. So the first one here in case is the name and the second one is the age. So instead of the other way around, it is okay. So you can see hello 19, age is Bob. So the order you name, the order in which you pass your parameter is very key in required argument. Okay, so that's what required argument is about. So we move on to the keyword argument. So keyword, so you can see there is two separate words inside this word, so key and word. So keyword, so here we will just pass the parameter and assign the parameter inside the parenthesis, so something like this. So name, then we say name is equal to what you want to pass as the name parameter, then we just do okay. So this okay, so this is a simple example of keyword argument. So I have a key and a word here, so that's keyword. So key and a word. So when you have a key, when you have a function with parameters which consists of a key and a word, then it is a keyword. So simple. Now we move on to the next time, which is the age. So age is equal to 19 here. Okay, so we have a key and a word, so it's a keyword. Then when you look here, I've already written order does not matter. So here the order doesn't matter because we are just storing it directly into the parameter. So I can just change this to age, then here should be name. Though the name is coming first, it should not matter because here we are assigning it to the parameter itself. So hello Bob, age 19, though we have age coming first, but we are getting the name here. So name, then okay, okay, so here should be the name and age. Okay, so simple. So the order doesn't matter in keyword, but it matters in the required argument. Okay, so the keyword argument is just key and a word. So simple. Okay, now we move on to default argument. So default argument is just, let's say I want to make a default value. So if nothing is passed, then that default value should be called. So let's say I have something like name and age as I have here, then I'll give it age 9 as the default age. Then I will not pass an age parameter here. I will just run this code and see. Okay, so you can see hello Bob, age 9. Though I didn't pass any age parameter inside when calling the function, but it brought the name, the age 9, because it has a default value, so it should print that default value. So we can do the same for the let's say for the name, so something like Bob, then I won't call anything here, then I'll run this code and see. Okay, so you can see hello Bob, age 9. So that is the default value. So for the name parameter, I've stored a default value of Bob, and for the age parameter, with a default value of 9. So simple. So that is how to use default values in your code. Now we can print out the default values from your code by just using the underscore before and after default. Okay, so just do print, then okay, so then the function name will come then dot underscore underscore default underscore underscore. Okay, I didn't bring dots here. Okay, so now I'll close my parenthesis. So now, okay, so that's it. So function name dot underscore underscore default. Then let me run this code and see. Okay, so you can see Bob and 9 here. So that is our default. So Bob is the default for the name parameter, and the age parameters default is the 9 value, or the int 9. Okay, so that is how to see your default inside your function argument or function parameters. So simple. Now we move on to the last argument for today, which is the variable length argument. So the variable length argument comes in mind when, let's say, I've defined only two parameters, but I want more than two parameters. Let's say I want 8, 5, and so on, but I've already defined two. So that is where we use the variable length argument. Okay, so now let's look at how it works. So function name. Okay, so we have two types of a variable length argument. We have the star quax and the star ax. So that is the short bar. The full is star keyword argument and the star argument. So the argument can be required argument, it can be default argument, but it can't be keyword argument, because for the keyword argument it is just the quax or the keyword argument. This is the star keyword argument. So when you have a keyword argument, you use the star quax, and when you have just an argument, you just use star ax. So we will first look at the ax first, then we move on to the star quax. So now the ax is just written inside here, so you just use star ax, so something like this. So this is just a list which collect all your parameters, or all the parameters you have passed when calling the function. So let's say I've passed 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So 6, 7, 8. So you can see I only have just one parameter inside my parenthesis, but I've defined 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which are 5 parameters or 5 values passing through my function. But there is only one defined parameter inside here. So this is just a list which collects all the values. So now what I will do is just loop through or use for loops to get all the value, because when I have a list which is iterable, I can just use for loop to get the values, as we did in for loops. Okay, now we want to add these values. We just do some is equal to 0, then I'll just say for num in star ax, or no, you don't bring the star when you are using the ax in your for loop. You just do the word ax. Okay, so something like args, so instead of star, so ax, so something like this. Now we say sum, then increment is equal to, then I'll say num. Okay, so simple. Now I'll just print this value of the sum here, so print sum. So simple. Now let's run this code and see. Okay, so you are getting 30 here. You know 4 plus 5 is 9, 9 plus 6 is 15, 15 plus 7 is 22, and 22 plus 8 is 30. So that's how to use the star ax. So we just picture it as a list which contains our values we have just passed inside the parentheses as we were defining our functions, and now we can just use loops to get the values inside the list and use it in our code. So simple. But the ax here, or the keyword here, ax, is just a convention. You can change it to anywhere. So I have number here, should be number also, then I will run it. I should get the same 30. So simple. Okay, so we move on to the next one, which is the keyword ax, which is the quax. So the quax is only for keyword argument, which is key and a word type of argument. So let's say I have something like name is equal to then I'll say Bob, then I'll say let's say age is equal to 19. Instead of here being a argument or an ask, it should be a keyword argument, which is 2 stars, and the convention is quacks, but you can use any name. So now we just let me clear this out, and I'll say for value in quacks. Okay, so here we are saying for value in quacks, but it will only print the key when we use the quack. So let me just so that you appreciate print, so you print then value. Okay, so let me run this code and see for you to appreciate what is happening. So you can see it is only printing the keys, or the it is only printing the keys, which is the name and the age, but we want the keys and the value. So to get the keys and value, we just use the method, the items method. So quacks then dot items, then your okay, so here should be dot. Okay, so that's how to get the keyword and value. So for value in quacks dot, oh, here should be items. Okay, so for value in quacks dot items, print value. Now we should get the key and the word together. So you can see we are getting the key and the word here. So keyword, so name Bob, age is 19. So simple. So that's how to use the star quacks, which is a keyword argument. So as I said, the quacks and the acts are just conversion. You can use any name, so you can replace the quacks here with any name, as I did for the acts. Yeah, I think that's that for the argument. That's that for the types of argument. So we have the required argument, the keyword argument, the default argument, and the variable length argument. I hope you understand this. So this is just the fundamental. You can just go around and see how you can build up more vigor or more motivation inside these topics. Okay, so we move on to the return statement. So the return statement is just used to return or give out something. So let's say I have a function here and I just want to return a value. So let's say I have parameters as, okay, let me go back. Okay, yeah, so I have star ax here, so I will use ax here. Now I have something like, so let me clear this, but you can use a built-in method for list to get your sum. So something like you just append. So let's say I have an empty list here, so something like this. So something like this. Then I will say for num in list. Then I will say list dot append. Then I will say num. Okay. Now we are appending the num. Then we can use the sum to get the sum. So just say total. Okay, so we will store the sum or the total value inside the total variable. So total, and I will say sum of then the list. So simple. So something like this. Now we have the sum. Now what we will do next is just return the total. So something like this. Okay, so now let's run this code and see what we are getting. So run this code. Okay, so we aren't getting anything. Why? It's because we are returning the value total, or we are returning the word total, but we are not returning the value. So to get the value, we can just create a variable here. Variable, let's say value is equal to, then I'll say function name here. Okay, then I'll say, okay, so I'll pass these values here. Control X, Control V. Okay, now what I will do next is just multiply by 5 or 6. or 5, yeah, something like 5. Now print value. So value. Okay, so when you print the value variable or the variable name value, we should get the content, which is the sum of these numbers multiplied by 5. Okay, so we are getting 0 here. I don't know why. Let me see. Okay, so I will just print, let me print total and see what we are having there. So print total and see, let me see. So I'll remove the star here and see what you are getting. Now I'll call this. Okay, so now let me comment this out. Sorry, I've decorated it. So let me run this code and see. Okay, so that's the problem. So we are getting function name. So we are getting 0 here. Why are we getting 0? Let me see. Total equals sum of lists. Print total. Okay, so let me print list also. Print list also. So that I will see what is inside my list. Okay, so my list is empty. Why? For now, okay, it's for now in list. So the problem is I'm saying for number in or for num in list, which is a wrong statement here because there is nothing here. So what I should have brought was the ax here. So here should be ax. Okay, so that's a way to just sit down and look at your code and look at the errors and just solve it. So you just sit down, don't get frustrated in coding, just sit down. Everybody get this issue, though those people have like 10 years of experience, but they get these issues every day. So they don't be frustrated, just keep on writing your code and just working on. So simple. So let's move on to our code. Now we have this, so let me run this again and see what we are getting. Okay, so we are getting the values here. Now I can clear this out. Now I can store it in a variable name value, and I'll say function name, then I'll say star, then I'll say total. Oh, sorry, 5. Then I'll say return total. So return total. Okay, that's it. Now we are saying return total. Then after returning the total should be stored in a variable name value multiplied by 5. So let me clear this and see what we are getting. Okay, so we are getting 110. So the 22 times 5 should give us 110. So that's a way to just use functions and multiply, or let's say store a function value inside your variable. So simple. So simple. Okay, so now we know how to use a return statement in our code. So simple. You just move on to the star symbol used in argument. Okay, now let me clear this. Okay, so I have this, so let me clear this also. Okay, so when you want to use the star, so the star is just a way to convert from a required argument to keyword argument. So let's say I have something like this: a comma b comma c comma d. So something like this. Then I will say print. So I'll print just anything inside my function to see that my function is working. Yeah, so I'll print. Okay, let me print hello instead. So now I will just run this code and see what we are getting. Okay, so you can see there's an error here. Function name missing for required positional argument. So it is required, so we need to pass a b c d when declaring the function. But here is the case, we want to convert the cd to a keyword argument. How will we do it? We just use a star symbol. So we just do star. So anything after the star symbol, or anything after the star symbol then is the keyword argument. So anything after star symbol is a keyword argument. So the A and B becomes a required argument, and anything after the star becomes a keyword argument. Now let's run this code. Okay, so you can see missing two required positional argument. So instead of getting the four required positional argument error, we are getting missing two required positional argument error. So that's how to convert from required statement to keyword. That's how to convert from keyword argument to that is how to convert from required statement to keyword argument. Okay, so I think that's that for this video. Hope you followed keenly and you understand what we learned. If you don't understand, just send me a comment so that we will just look at how to give a further explanation to these arguments. But all in all, I think this is a very simple way to introduce you to arguments in functions. So this is the part one of functions. As I said, we move on to the part two, which will be covering anonymous function, which are also called the lambda function. Okay, so thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, like this video and share it with your friends. Okay, goodbye.